Hey, welcome to Rygaard Creations. But before I start customizing the right-click menu through the rmb.cpp script, I'd like to talk briefly about the logic I used to play my own right-click menu here inside 3DCoat, okay? Great. Next to it, as you can see, is the actual right-click menu in 3DCoat. This menu has a certain organization, in which the commands are visually separated by a horizontal bar. Perfect. However, I think the commands are spread out in such a way that it becomes a little difficult to find a specific command that you want to use at any given time. So, from experience and to speed up my work, when I need to use the right-click menu, I have planned my own menu as follows. I organized all the commands into specific groups, okay? Great. Which, in my understanding, would make more sense according to their functionality and especially their position within the menu, right? Right. Perfect. I will quickly comment on the command groups I have planned. So, in this first group, I can find commands related to sculpted panel. In the second group, I will have commands to import, export, and save. In the next group are the commands for transforming of the geometry in the viewport. This group here, it's special because these are specific commands to surface mode or voxels mode. Here, in this group, I will have access to commands related to duplication of the geometry. This group here are just commands related to subdividing geometries. Here is an important group with special commands focused on retopology. This group here with specific commands for shader and for baked geometries. Here I have isolated this command because it's specific to the hierarchy of layers in Sculpt 3. In this group are commands related to Boolean operations, and in the last group with object union commands without Boolean operations between the layers in Sculpt 3. Great. In 3DCoat, the right-click menu is contextual and displays specific commands depending on the mode we are in. You already know that there is surface mode and voxels mode, but there is another mode that 3DCoat has, which is prox mode. By the way, I am in prox mode right now. Proxy mode works by temporarily replacing the original geometry with another geometry with lower resolution or fewer triangles. And that amount of triangles is what we will define as soon as we enter this proxy mode, okay? So that everyone can easily understand the customization of the right-click menu, I will have to explain something that for sure most people will have difficulties, and with that mistakes will be made that will result in instability or malfunction of 3DCoat. So, back to the right-click main script, rmb.cpp, I'd like to go directly to this if conditional structure. Do you see all this stuff that it just selected? Yeah, this is the part that is the most elaborate and can cause customization problems for those who don't know what are doing. As well, it's a very special part of this script because it defines the power of the menu to be contextual according to one of the three modes that we are using at the moment, okay? Perfect. I have separated this if conditional structure so that we can understand how it works. But before that, as you can see here, are the three different modes with their respective right-click menus. And we can easily differentiate between them in several ways. But one of them is simply through the icons that will appear in the layer in Scope tree. In proxy mode, there is this icon of an up arrow. In surface mode, there is this icon with the letter S. And in voxels mode, the icon with the letter V appears. Of course, we visually identify other ways to differentiate these three different modes. Through the left panel of the interface, as well as through the right mouse button menu itself, which has different amounts of commands. And also, there will be specific commands related to the mode that is being used at the moment, okay? For the right-click menu to define which commands will be shown, then it will be necessary to use the if conditional structure and also the if-else chain conditional structure to know if a certain situation will happen or not. And that way, the program will understand what to do and show, right? Right. I'm not going to get into technical terms. I'm just going to simplify this part of the script in the best way possible I can for you. Sounds good, right? First of all, this script wants to know if we are in proxy mode or not. So, this first if evaluates a very important condition. If we really are not in proxy mode, then all these commands here, which are inside the conditional block, will be evaluated and depending executed. So, if we are not in proxy mode, then for sure these first 6 functions will be executed successfully. And immediately the commands to global space, to uniform space, resample, radial array, separator bar, extrude will be shown in the right-click menu, both in surface mode and in voxels mode. And you can verify that the same commands are in here too. To global space, to uniform space, resample, radial array, separator bar, and extrude. Great. But right after that, from the menu item extrude VO function, The script will pause momentarily because it has encountered this other if-else chained conditional structure, and it needs to check the new conditional, okay? That means the script will only show specific commands in the menu if the conditional is true or not. Great. So, what's the condition of the second if else? This one is very easy. This time, if we are in surface mode, then all the three functions will be executed successfully, and in the menu will appear these three surface mode related commands, which are thicken, close holes in surface, and objectify separate. Great. If not, if we are not in surface mode, but really in voxels mode, then the six functions will be executed successfully, and in the menu will appear a submenu with two commands inside and two commands below, all specifically related to voxels, which are extract shell with two commands inside, fill voids, and close invisible holes. Right? Right. So, finally, it's time to start the complete customization of the right-click menu through the rmb.cpp script. Great. The first important thing I do in order to be successful in customizing the custom menu is to leave open on the screen the current 3DCoat right-click menu image and also the menu I have planned. The reason for this is very simple. It's because I can visualize the commands and their placement within the menu, and at the same time I will have a better orientation of the commands inside the script. Because the names of the commands that are here in the menu will have very similar names in the functions inside the script, okay? Good. Now, I will follow line by line my menu list that I have planned, and I will make the necessary changes in the script. The first suggestion for you is a tip that I really like to do. Every time I have the menu separator function, I will delete the space to the left of it. Okay? That way, visually, here inside the script, I will be able to have a reference point to better orient myself through the script, right? Right. So, the first customization will be to change the order of some commands in this group here. Another suggestion, and this one is very important, pay close attention. You always have to be attentive and check in the script for any function. Observe all the commands that may be linked to it, okay? Great. From now on, the process I use to customize the right-click menu will be to look at the current 3DCoat menu image, as well as the list I have planned. And already looking at the first three commands, both the 3DCoat menu and my list are identical, and I won't need to make any changes. Great. Next, I find these three commands within this group: delete, add child, and rename. Just like my list, I have the three commands, but their positioning is different. Rename comes first, and delete is in the last position. In other words, I changed the order of the two commands. Back here in the script, and for the reasons I explained before, I will delete the space to the left of the menu separator function. Great! I have already identified here in the script the three functions that correspond to the three commands I just said, which are delete, add child, and rename. The three functions corresponding to these three commands are right here in the script. The first function is delvox3, which corresponds to the delete command. The second function is addvox3, which corresponds to the addChild command. And here, the renamevox3 function corresponds to the rename command. So, what's my next step here? That's very simple. It's just a matter of selecting the functions and repositioning them accordingly here inside the script. But first, I need to come here to my list that I have planned and note the order that I have done for these commands. As you can see, rename is first, add child is second, and last the delete command. I'm going to reproduce this order that I have done and planned here within the script. To do this, I'm going to select the entire renamevox3 function, including the semicolon. I'm going to press Ctrl X and I'm going to position this function here in the first position, pasting the function with Ctrl V. Great. Now, what do I need? Invert the position of the delete command with the addChild command. To do this, I will select the addvox3 function, Ctrl X on the keyboard, including semicolon, always, and I will place it in the second position below the renamevox3 function, as you have just seen. Good. What's the result of these changes I just made to the script? It's exactly the same order here. Rename first, add child second, and third delete. And I'll prove it to you. I'll save the script, close it, go back to 3DCoat and accept my change. When I press the right mouse button, as you can see, I have rename first, add child second, and in third delete. Exactly the same order as I have here in my list. Right? Right. I will go back to the rmb.cpp script. And under the delvox3 function, I will need to add a separator bar, as I have planned here in my menu list. To do this, I'll select the entire menu separator function, including the semicolon. Copy it by pressing Ctrl+C on the keyboard, and under the delvox3 function, I'll paste the separator bar by pressing Ctrl+V on the keyboard. Now, so that I can have a little more space to work with here in the script, I'm going to press the Enter key a few times. Great. According to the list I have planned, the next group of commands I will do are the import, export, and save commands. So, in the current 3DCoat menu, I can verify that all these commands are located right here in this group of commands, with the exception of the Edit Shader Settings command, okay? Great. First, I will have to locate the import and export commands within the script. To do this, I will always use as a reference the location of other commands to help me find what I need. In this case, I will pay attention to the commands edit shader settings and autopo, because the commands I need are located between them, okay? Another tip I can give you is that as I go down through the script to look for what I need, I also pay attention to the names of the commands in the actual 3DCoat menu and the names of the function parameters that are here inside the script. So I'm going down here. Right here is the edit shader settings function. And if I look a little further down, I'll have the autopo function. As you can see, the import and export commands are between the two functions I just showed you. Now, I'm going to select all the code I need. But the first thing to do is always pay attention to the code blocks, okay? Since the import function is inside the if conditional structure, I will also have to select the if no cache conditional structure, because the import command will only be shown in the menu if we are not in proxy mode, right? Right. In the case of the export function, this function has a block of commands that are these. So, I will have to select the entire command block as well, okay? Now, I will put my mouse cursor in the conditional structure if no cache. And up to here, at the end of the export block, I will select by pressing Shift and the left mouse button. Selected everything I need, I'm going to press Ctrl X on the keyboard to cut. And going way up there in the script, after the delvox3 function and the main separator, right here, I'm going to press Ctrl V to paste all the commands. Great. To finish with this group of commands, there are only 3 commands missing: the import command and the other 2 saves. Looking here at the 3DCoat menu, I will use once again the edit shader settings command as a reference point, because right above it are the 3 commands I need. Knowing this information, I will go back in the script and I will locate the edit shader settings function, which is right here. Right above it, as you can see, are the commands that I need. I'm going to select from the save vox3b function to the end of this voxels function. Now I'm going to press Ctrl X on my keyboard to cut. And I'm going to go back up in the script. I'm going to locate the export function. And right after the code block of this function, I'm going to paste the missing commands. Great. But now the last step is missing. In my list, I plan the import 3b file command in front of the other 2 saves commands. In the current 3DCoat menu, the positioning of the saves is in front of the import 3b file command. So it's just a matter of repositioning. First, I will find the function I need. In this case, it is the merge vox3b function that corresponds to the import 3b file command. I will select the whole function. I press Ctrl X on the keyboard to cut. And I'm going to position it right where I need it. I'm going to press Ctrl V on the keyboard. And now, as a result, I will first have the import 3b file command, and in sequence, I will have the other 2 saves. Great. to prove it to you. But first, before I forget, I will copy the menu separator function because I need a separator bar here. Exactly, just like I did my menu list. I will paste it here. Good. So I will save the file and I will close the script. I go back to 3DCoat and confirm my changes. Now, when I right click on the Rhino, as you can see, I have the import command, then export, then import 3B, save volume as 3B, save volume with sub3 as 3B. Exactly as I planned here in my list, right? Right. I hope you have learned something new. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. See you there.